Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid lazy negativity, we've decided to make this episode a little bit of a drinking game.
Uh-oh.
So anytime we say anything negative at all about this film, about each other, about how Dave stopped drinking because he was drink.
God damn it.
About how Dave stopped drinking because he was breathing liquid for about 50 years. You're going to hear this sound? That sound means we're taking a drink, and we hope you drink along with us.
Oh, God.
Boys over the glasses, we do Deep Sea Armageddon.
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's so true. Cheers, guys. Don't forget Men in Black. I definitely saw people that were like, oh, yeah, it's like, it reminds you of Close Encounters. It's like, nah, Men in Black, bro.
Yeah.
Totally Men in Black. Ed Harris is totally Jeff Goldblum with the cigar. Come on. Guys, we're talking about today.
Wait. You're talking about a different movie. You keep saying Men in Black, but you're talking about...
Can we start over?
Independence
Day. Fuck.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I was like,
God
who the
damn
fuck
it.
is Ed Harris? It's Ed Harris. Harris's character in Men in Black.
Guys, we're starting late because of me, and I was in the middle of literally opening a bottle of whiskey when we started this, so I wasn't thinking because I was literally crinkling open a bottle of whiskey.
No, not only were you about to open a bottle of whiskey, like you had a piano tuner in your room who talked your ear off to the point where you drank half the bottle of whiskey. So
yeah, that's right. And
that's
I'm
what
so
we'll
sorry.
say anyway.
Nice guy. Really nice. So today we are talking about The Abyss. The Random Year Generator spun 1989. And the last time the Random Year Generator spun 1989, we decided to talk about Leviathan, another deep sea underwater sci-fi movie.
Yep.
So we decided 6 months later, that's what 1989 was. Was it a Taylor Swift album? No. It was a deep sea underwater sci-fi kind of year.
Do you think Tay saw either of these?
I mean, I'm going to guess no, but I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is yes, but I'm going to guess no.
I don't think she comes home from a Eras tour and sits down and watches The Abyss for like comfort.
She sits down on the private jet. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen the tracker of her jet? It's just it's like Nashville, Buenos Aires, Nashville, LA, New York, Nashville, Buffalo, Florida, Virginia, and it's like all in like a week. She's just constantly moving. Anyway, we shouldn't be talking about Taylor Swift. Who are we? This is not what we do. We are going to talk about The Abyss. We did do the theatrical cut version. I'm so sorry to say we did not do the director's cut. I did look it up, and I'm not sorry that I did the version.
I have a confession to make.
You watched the director's cut?
I did. I couldn't help myself.
John, how mad are you right now?
I've already unloaded on Dave before you came on and joined us.
Yeah, he unloads on me before we hit record.
I'm so tired now. I'm just so sleepy.
So if you're new to the podcast, we're going to set up the year, what happened that year. We've already done this. So today is going to be a little bit more fun events and things that happened that year. Little things that were going on in the movie world that year. So some box office, of course, before we get into the movie, because I do think that the context matters. It is important and people like it. But if you really want to get your Abyss conversation, just check the show notes or check the chapters that Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the others do really well. Just look down, scoot ahead, and you'll find your Abyss conversation. And we'll be a little drunker than we are right now. Everybody except Dave. Dave, where is your donation going today? Every time we buzz Dave, 50 cents goes to?
It's the Food Bank in New York.
Nice. How much did we give them?
At the moment, we're up to $13.
All right, from 1 week, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was a rough week last week.
You did that to yourself.
A drinking podcast had way too much fun talking about a very serious movie discussing alcoholism. That's pretty much the summary of last week's episode.
Days of Wine and Roses. That's right. We do have a mini review this week. John's going to get us that in a second. But first, why don't we go ahead and do our sponsors so we can get into it. John, you want to shout some sponsors out?
Sure. We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroso. You can find his handle in the show notes. It's on Instagram, cbarroso.beer. We also have a music artist in residence who provides us with some tunes on this episode. And every single episode, that artist's name is Dasein. That's Dasein, Dasein. You can find their music. We also have a link in the show notes, but their music is available on all the usual platforms. If you want to go there and download, stream, love, whatever, all your things. You're welcome. Dasein, DAS.
That's right. Thanks, Dave, for editing and producing these episodes. We also have YouTube. You got to check it out because, John, you got a pretty badass still behind you today.
I always have some fun stills behind me.
The look is good. I will say, no matter what anybody says about The Abyss, and we're not going to talk too much about it yet, God, it looked good and it looked real. It really looked like they were underwater. Man.
They were
10 years before Titanic. I mean, it looked like they were 20,000 feet underwater. Yeah, I know they were in a tank in South Carolina. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, this is back when they used to shoot movies in America, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a whole lot of that.
Oh my God, Dave, how happy are you that I have a pop socket today for our YouTube? This is a pop socket right here.
My eardrums didn't jump out of their fucking sockets when you said that twice, so I'm pretty happy.
For this ass. John, any news you want to get into before you shout out the mini review you want to do?
Like upsetting political news like I did last time?
What about how the stock market? The stock
welcome
market
back,
did
guys. I've just cut what John said. Everybody, welcome back.
God almighty.
I just cut what Jeff said.
Let me tell you about... just
anyway, we can do the politics for another time. Should we do mini review first, or should we do it? And Dave, we want to talk about anything else before we do the mini review?
Let's do the mini review, please.
Okay, John.
All right, I saw Last Breath, which is the fictionalized retelling of the documentary that I did not know about, but they make it very clear at the beginning and end of this movie that this is based on real events, and they show some of that archive footage, and then it becomes clear that this is based on a documentary as well called Last Breath that came out in 2019 about this actual event. It's definitely worth seeing in the theaters, you guys. There's a lot of, I don't want to say it's like fun, but like what you see is what you get. This guy who works on pipes at the bottom of the sea in the North Sea, and there's some fun context there about how they set that up, just how dangerous that job is.
Yeah.
Shit goes wrong, and he gets stranded down there. And the ship is in a storm.
The North Sea is fucking lethal.
The North Sea is no joke, dude. And it's about them trying to get back there and save him. And it's real, it's just really intense. It's not a negative. The movie is worth watching for sure. You should go see it in the theater because it is such an intense experience of that suspense and that tension. The only caveat there is that it is a movie that absolutely loves to play with its sound design, and you're underwater sometimes, which means it's quiet. So if you have fucking cunts and assholes sitting next to you who are eating loudly
turn on the gripe
making
timer.
Noises, you will be frustrated because there are silent moments in this movie for minutes, and it's so like, if they're quiet and when they're quiet, I felt my audience like coming and going with that. And I had to ask somebody to stop. They were so nervous. They kept crinkling this thing in their hand. And it was just because they were nervous. Like they were like, oh, I'm sorry. Like they weren't eating or anything.
Yeah.
They just, anyway. So it was one of those, but that also tells you about the quality of how tense it is. Like simple setup, boom, you're there. I also just want to shout it out because
this is Woody Harrelson. Is this the movie that I'm thinking of? Woody Harrelson,
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, cool.
I also want to shout it out just because, and I'm not going to remember all these production companies, but this movie feels a little scrappy in what it looked like from the list of production companies that were involved. Not familiar faces there, not some familiar emblems that you've seen before. So there is a scrappiness to this, which is pretty crazy with what they were able to do. So in less than 2 days, I saw 2 underwater movies, which was really fun. Anyway, I think people should go see it. I don't think you're going to have as much fun watching this at home the way I bet you would have fun watching the documentary, just because it's more about that information. This is a sensory experience. You should go to the theater and watch it. All right, I'm done.
I love
there you go.
Nice. I don't know anything about this filmmaker, but it's pretty cool.
Go to the theater and watch it.
He made the documentary. He co-directed the documentary, and he's also directed another documentary. So I think this is his first fictional, if you will, reimagining of that nonfiction experience. It was cool. It was cool, you guys. You should go watch
this movie. $24 million budget for this movie, and so far it's grossed 14. Just the U.S. and Canada. It's not going to spread worldwide. So, gotta hope it makes this because that $24 million mid-range budget. We need more movies in this budget.
I have been hearing a lot about it from people that don't normally talk about movies. So a lot of people are starting to notice this one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's not the most brilliant thing you're ever going to see, but it's like I had fun watching it. And it's a little engine that could kind of feeling. It feels like an independent, ambitious movie, which you don't see those all the time, but it really does feel like that. And so there's a part of you that if you like that independent side, you're going to be like, not super A-list, stacked movie stars. Woody Harrelson's part isn't like front and center the whole time by any means. You're going to see, what's the guy's name from, my goodness, what is his name? From
Simu Liu.
Yeah. He's there, but he's not. Anyway, I'm shutting up. Watch it.
Well,
have fun. You're welcome.
And you're going to talk about Mickey Blue Eyes next week. Mickey Blue Eyes, $118 million budget. It only made 19 domestically this past week, which is not good. I feel like fucking hell. Mickey 17. Right. Do you want to see that Hugh Grant movie from,
I did watch Heretic, which I'm going to talk about at the end of the episode. Everybody wants to stay tuned for that. A great Hugh Grant.
Is that on streaming already?
Mickey Blue Eyes.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to see that.
Oh, it's worth it.
Well,
I can't wait to talk about
Mickey
it.
17, I feel like I watched $19 million worth of ads just targeted at me for Mickey 17. So
I've been waiting for that movie for a year,
Wasn't there a Super Bowl ad? I mean, I feel like they got like big, like Super Bowl and like the NFL playoffs. They were like playing it. This is one of those ones that
they kept pushing back the release.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher the way they've chosen to release this. So
in
everyone's
early March,
is it bad? Well, it's supposed to come out in January initially. Which is like,
that's tough, unless they wanted Oscar stuff. So I guess if they punted on Oscar stuff, but then again, also Fallback, which I know a lot of people kind of forgot about Fallback, but you basically lost Sunday. I feel like nobody did anything worthwhile on Sunday this week.
I'm sure it'll be quirky and class, all about class. And
can't wait to hear you talk about it next week.
It's definitely all about class.
That's what he does, baby.
All right. Should we do some gripes here before we get into our 1989
Dave's
conversation?
Upset.
All right, Dave, are you ready? Do you want to fire it up? Yeah, start that gripe timer. That buzzer-free gripe timer. Okay, let's go.
Okay, influencers.
Uh-oh.
Stop it with your fucking reaction videos. They're fake.
I hate reaction
You've already
videos.
seen the clip.
I hate reaction videos.
All you're doing is bad acting. And for real, Daredevil came out this week, and on the very first day of its release, I had some motherfucker ruin the biggest twist at the beginning of the episode with his fucking fake reaction video. It's like, stop it. Nobody wants to see it. Nobody cares. Mate, do something else. Do something creative.
Remember the 2 girls, 1 cup reaction
picture
videos?
Or something. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. All right. That one might be funny, but the rest, no.
The reaction videos to 2 girls, 1 cup is pretty funny.
Well, that's because I don't want to see the actual video. In this case, I want to stay able to see the movie.
I mean, I feel like I should make a whole series of reaction videos to Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared as well. So.
Damn it, it's buzzer free. Can we buzz him if it has nothing to do with his?
No.
Well, I'm a voice teacher.
Buzz
There's
him
so
for
many.
anything you want.
Yeah, shut up, Dave.
It's for a good cause.
I'm a voice teacher. There's so many viral teachers that literally just do these things of people singing well, and then they just make like really expressive faces, and they have millions of followers and get like money and free vacations and stuff, and all they do is make fucking faces watching somebody else's video.
Does anybody realize they set up that clip to play beforehand, so they've already fucking seen it?
I imagine they didn't just click this video and record with really good lighting and makeup and say, I wonder if this is going to be good.
Yeah. So it's fake. It's 100% fake. So just piss off and be real.
All right. My gripe's a little different.
Or watch like really good fictional things that are about 2 hours long called movies.
2 hours.
You bitches.
Actually, I'm going to pivot on mine. I'm going to do a different one. I got one. Okay, go ahead. Stop spitting gum into urinals. It makes no sense. I go in there and it already has like the little soap thing. It's got the little like the thing to make sure it doesn't spray. But then, I understand I spit in the urinal sometimes when I use it. Not so that anybody has to visualize me at the urinal. But like, I spit sometimes that I want to do that. But gum, there is definitely a garbage in that bathroom. There's also a toilet. Don't flush the gum down the toilet. But there are garbages fucking everywhere. Why is it that in this particular moment you need to spit that fucking shit out and you need to spit it on this urinal? Somebody's gonna have to clean it. Somebody's gonna have to remove it eventually. But most likely they're going to have to remove it after hundreds of people have peed on your gum. You sick, demented fuck. What is wrong with the people that we live with? I don't understand it. First of all, they voted for Trump. Second of all, they spit gum in the urinal. I don't know who we live with anymore.
I must admit, I'm one of those people that pees on. It's like, which direction is this going to go? Ooh.
Yeah. Well, then once it's there, what am I going to do? Try to miss it? No, I'm going to aim at it, of course, to see if I can nudge it free or something. But man.
They're doing it for you guys, so you can have something to do.
It's boring in there. Yeah. What am I going to do?
No,
write
that's
my
why
name?
you have the little. That's why you have the little the little bugs or whatever that you can aim at. And that's supposed to be like the most efficient place to pee it.
After 50, it's impossible to write your name. You got to do something.
Period. Comma.
Yeah.
Quotation marks.
Dave's name looks a little. Oh, never mind. I was going to make a distasteful joke. Okay,
Jeff, I do have memories of standing next to you at a urinal and you peeing and spitting. When did that habit start? You think you spit while you pee?
Jeff
I don't know, but there was a colleague of ours at in college actually asked me one time, is that a straight guy thing?
Don't call one of our friends a colleagues. A colleague and
someone got demoted.
Someone in our collegiate theater program, my colleague, one time said,
"Gay friends was like, dude, why are you?"
He goes, "Is that a straight guy thing?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I don't know." I don't know.
Is that a straight guy thing? Spitting? Probably.
Yeah. It's a porn thing. If it's out, I have to spit on it.
I'm going to guess, and maybe I'll get canceled for this, which would be a hilarious reason to get canceled, but I'm going to guess that more straight men spit than any other identification. Would you guys guess that?
I don't think that'll get you canceled. I think
for that.
That'll be a fact.
I think that's true. Unless you're like unless you're like a cis camel, otherwise I think, camel spit. That's the only thing about. I saw Lawrence of Arabia 2 weeks ago, and that's the only thing I didn't buy is I didn't see a single camel spit. Camels love to spit, and they're thirsty motherfuckers. Okay,
that's
you guys
true.
Want to talk? You guys want to?
Please move on.
A colleague of ours. That's me.
A former freshman in college.
Who was it? Tell me who it is with that. All right. That's good.
You guys want to talk about 1989?
Yes.
He only saw the spit hit the toilet, by the way. All right. Yeah, let's talk about 1989.
So 1989 totally changed my life. It opens with Welcome to New York, and then it goes right to Blank Space into Style, which is a wild 1-2 punch. And then it goes right to Out of the Woods, the Jack Antonoff with the catchy. I'm happy about it. I forget what track 5 is. It's like I Wish You Would or some shit. Shake It Off's number 6. I mean, it's like a fucking bomb opening.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude. Our colleague here.
That's my era. I don't give a fuck.
Thank you, Casey Kasem.
That's my era. Bad Blood's number 8. Okay. 1989. We've already covered this 3 times. Once in the Blockbuster Face-Off. It did have a heavy hitter in the Blockbuster Face-Off. And then we covered it again with Leviathan about 6 months ago. So let's see how fresh you are. But I have to admit, from last time, there is a discrepancy. Not that we were wrong. I mentioned the discrepancy on the episode. There are 2 different movies that I will allow you to consider the highest grossing movie of 1989. However, we are going to use Box Office Mojo. Or is this the numbers? No, this is Box Office Mojo. So for some reason, Wikipedia has one, and then Box Office Mojo has another. So let's see what you guys got. What was the highest grossing movie of 1989?
Uncle Buck.
Did one of them have Batman in the title?
Yeah, Dave. I'm not even going to gush you for that. Yes. So I think Batman is going to be widely considered as the number 1 movie of this year.
Can I guess the second?
Yeah.
Last Crusade.
Of course. So it's funny. So according to Wikipedia, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade made $474 million to Batman's $411 million worldwide. But according to Box Office Mojo, Batman made $401 and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade made $197. However, there is something weird that happened where Box Office Mojo did not validate the foreign box office number of Indiana Jones, whereas Batman has an even $150 million. Like 150,000,000, which sounds like a guess. So this is like those old record sales when they're like, Thriller sold 20 million. Like, it's like, I feel like they don't know the numbers of these. So it's either Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade or Batman. And I don't know if we'll ever really know the answer to it.
What do you guys think made more money?
I would have guessed Batman, but
Batman did.
I would have guessed Batman, but honest to God, remember this when we started doing the Marvel stuff, that the domestic numbers were way higher than the international numbers at first.
Dude,
it's very possible that even with Michael Keaton...
Even in Australia, Batman was in the theater for like months.
Was it in the theater in 1989 or did it come out in 1990 in Australia?
No, it came out in like 2007. It's a fucking long boat ride.
I think by 1989 everybody caught up, but I have a feeling that the first Batman, even with the mega stars like Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton and Tim Burton, I have a feeling Indiana Jones, which is the third film and had the
Sean Connery,
a decade of people having VHSs of the first two and everything, and it's the trilogy and Sean Connery. I have a feeling that one actually probably was the higher grossing one.
That one gave me anxiety when I went to go and see it.
You saying Batman?
No. When I went to see Last Crusade, we went as a family with my stepdad, and he was very, very fucking anal about finding a car park. And meanwhile, like the time of the movie starting has gone past, and I got so fucking agitated, I ended up leaving the car and going into the movies by myself.
Good.
So that I didn't miss the start of it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Wait, so Jeff, you think it's which one do you think
guess
it is?
Batman. I guess Last Crusade. What do you think? You'd be the tiebreaker here.
And are we just saying for the year 1989 theatrical? We're not saying anything else.
For the initial run, which could have lasted a long time, but not waiting like 3 years.
I think I'm guessing Batman only because that was like the largest merchandise push before a movie of all time, apparently. Like that one was really unique the way that they marketed it. For about 2 years before it came out, they started creating all the concept merchandise around it.
There was a fucking McDonald's meal.
You know what bothers me though, you guys? Yeah. I mean, I remember eating.
And Keaton and Nicholson were huge. And Nicholson had just won the Oscar for the second time, and it's like to have like a 2-time Oscar winner do a comic book movie. I feel like this was
also the second they said that he was doing the second they said he was doing the Joker, it was fuck it all in. Everybody
about the Prince music.
Huge.
Literally, they were like, Jack Nicholson is going to dance to Prince. Go see the movie. He dances to him when he gasses everybody.
That
right?
was the twist.
You know what? The number that I still want to know the most is how much money every movie has made to date with VOD, DVD, home video, and you know what? We'll never know because of studio math. They could never be honest about how much money that the movie actually made Warner Brothers, because they would have to pay everybody way more money. It's a shame. Because
the only movie you can be certain about how much it made Warner Brothers is Batgirl.
Oh,
it was like
motherfuckers! I want to see that movie.
It was a write-off.
We're never going to see it.
$86 million, I believe, or whatever it was.
It was pretty close.
So I'm going to finish out the top. I'm going to finish out the top 10 here from this year. But you know what? I'm actually going to go back to Wikipedia because they do have a worldwide gross number, and then it looks like Box Office Mojo gave up on the foreign gross or the non-US gross. So I'm just going to go with the fucking Wikipedia here, which has number 3, Back to the Future Part 2.
Ooh.
Look Who's Talking coming in at number 4.
Even that was
Dead
kind of funny.
Poets Society at number 5. So go ahead and shout out.
Holy shit.
Yeah, well, and back to Box Office Mojo, Dead Poets was number 3. But again, it's only because it had accurate numbers or whatever. So to round out the top 10 from Wikipedia, Lethal Weapon 2, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ghostbusters 2, The Little Mermaid, and Born on the 4th of July sneaks in at number 10 there. How about that? Which would go on to win Best Director this year.
I cannot believe Dead Poets is in the top 10.
Robin Williams, man.
Robin Williams. It's just Robin. It's just Robin.
You will go see these young men come of age. That's what the marketing said. You will go see it.
It's like, hey, come and watch Robin Williams open a Coke can. Like, and people will turn up.
Yeah. I mean, okay, cool. So
is the day. Sorry.
So I'm not sure how to say this. Kim Basinger? Oh, come on. I was doing a Family Guy joke.
Enough. Yeah,
okay. Actress Kim Basinger and her brother Mick purchased Brazelton, Georgia for $20 million. I think I gave this stat in the past. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is released and marks the directorial debut and visual effects supervisor Joe Johnston, who would later direct The Rocketeer, Jumanji, October Sky, Jurassic Park 3, Captain America, The First Avenger. I did a lot of these. The Renaissance of Disney with The Little Mermaid.
He started as the fucking lead storyboard artist for ILM. His career has been crazy. Came out of George Lucas sent him to USC when he went to him after being storyboard artist at ILM for years and said, I want to become a director. And George said, I'll pay for you to go to school. And so he sent him to school when he was in like late 20s after he had been a like the go-to fucking storyboard artist at that fucking VFX company for like a decade. It's crazy. It's crazy.
So why did George Lucas make you pay for college?
Exactly. Only one of us got his scholarship, and it was not this. It was not this cis white camel. I'll say that much.
Dude, your dad is Turkish. Your dad is Turkish and was circumcised when he was 10. You deserve your fucking...
Can we stop bringing that up? Everyone is just watching. Every dude that listens to our show is sitting there with their legs crossed every fucking episode.
You know what's so great?
God, I hope your dad doesn't listen.
My dad will never know. He'll never know.
He doesn't listen.
That his fucking circumcision has been discussed quite a bit on this fucking show.
You know what? Our podcast goes really well with smoking pipes. It's too bad. You'll never know.
I found out.
Which is ironic because one of our hosts' circumcision has also happened. And we don't talk about your circumcision as much as we talk about my dad's.
The funny thing is, I found out, this is how I found out my aunt is listening to the show in Australia again because she's like,
I'm really glad the end of that sentence.
I was listening to your... yeah, right.
I was listening to our show again.
I'm listening to your show and you share too much on your show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Crikey.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Well, check out this.
Come on.
Moving on. Kim Basinger, who bought that town with her brother, apparently had to file for bankruptcy later and lost the town. License to Kill, the James Bond movie, comes out and led to so many legal issues there wouldn't be another James Bond film for 6 years. I did look up.
Never seen that one.
I kind of forgot that like Bond movies used to come out like every year at first, and then like every 2 or 3 years. So
those are busy broccolis.
The Busy Broccolis.
Yeah.
Cinema Paradiso ties for the Cannes Jury Prize. We talked about that. And Michael Moore made his first documentary film about the GM Corporation fucking over his town in Flint, Michigan. So there you go.
What was that called? What was the name of that first one?
Roger and Me.
Oh, yeah. Forgot. Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, cool. Awards, Driving Miss Daisy. This is the famous Driving Miss Daisy year. Oliver Stone would, of course, win
Driving Miss
Best
Daisy
Director.
Controversy, yeah.
Daniel Day-Lewis would win My Left Foot. He did beat Robin Williams and a whole bunch of other people. It's a great year, actually. And Daniel Day-Lewis, who is a relative unknown to this kind of category, up against Tom Cruise and Robin Williams and others. He just fucking came in and just did it for My Left Foot because people who actually saw the movie went, well,
this is where I had an English teacher that was a film buff, I think, because I remember class trips to go and see My Left Foot and Driving Miss Daisy.
Are they the reason why you hate all critically acclaimed movies?
Possibly.
This person told me to watch Citizen Kane and Casablanca.
To finish out, we also had Jessica Tandy won for Driving Miss Daisy. Denzel Washington would win the Oscar for Glory. Talk about the Oscars here. I will say Ray McNally would win the BAFTA for My Left Foot for playing Christy's dad.
Oh, God, so good.
And then Brenda Fricker would go on to win Best Supporting Actress at the Academy Awards. But at the BAFTA Awards, it would be Michelle Pfeiffer. So they switched. So Daniel Day-Lewis's dad won the BAFTA and mom won the Oscar. And then the screenplays went to Driving Mrs. Daisy. That's Alfred Urry, big playwright. Pulitzer Prize winning playwright, and then Dead Poets Society for Tom Shulman. And then Best Score and Song went to Alan Menken, the first 2 of his 8 Oscars. And he still, I believe, has the most Oscars of living people. I feel like somebody else has 9 who's alive, but I don't know who they are. So we're going to go with Alan Menken. Other highlights this year.
What was Michelle Pfeiffer in?
Michelle Pfeiffer was in Dangerous Liaisons, and Christopher Hampton for Dangerous Liaisons. They both won the BAFTA, the 2 of them. And I actually think that John Malkovich was nominated for Dangerous Liaisons for the Oscar, but I can't remember. And I don't have it up right here. So a couple other things that came out this year. Oh, so really funny. Home Alone 2 now has 3 Oscar winners from that movie. Yeah, Brenda Fricker, Joe Pesci, and Kieran Culkin, who had a couple lines. 3 Oscar winners and 1 president featured
34
in
felonies.
Home Alone 2. Yeah, only 34 felonies between them. They're all one person, but other highlights, Bill and Ted, the first one, The Burbs, Lean on Me, Heathers, Major League, Say Anything, Field of Dreams, R.I.P. James Earl Jones, Pet Sematary, Roadhouse, which we've also done in this episode.
Roadhouse.
Star Trek V, I believe that day, that's your favorite one, right? Directed by William Shatner.
Fuck that movie.
And The First Weekend at Bernie's. Anything else you guys want to... John's going to say Sex, Lives, and Videotapes before I even say it. John, I'm going to say it. And then National Lampoon's
What else am I going to say? Just go down the list and tell me what else.
You're going to say All Dogs Go to Heaven for sure. No, you know you're going to say...
I love that movie.
Because you know that all the directors love Brian De Palma. You're going to say Casualties of War. That's what you're going to say.
Sure,
and then maybe Harry Met Sally because you love your chick flicks. So that's it. What else you got?
I'm going to call out Ron Howard's
Parenthood. Of course you were, you dick.
Parenthood. I'm going to call out Parenthood. And I have never seen, I just want to mention this, and I don't really want to see it. I've never seen Field of Dreams, but it came out this year. And I don't give a shit about baseball.
Apparently, if you build it, they won't come.
Apparently,
You know what? This is the both of you guys. What's
But
wrong
if you
with
work the balls,
Wait,
Jeff, be honest with me. Is that movie any good?
I buzzed myself before I even answered. Okay.
Nope.
No. It is very moving. I do feel like the last sequence is really good. I feel like when James Earl Jones first agrees to go, like his scene is so good because he doesn't want to go. He's like, I'm not going to go. And then of course he's going to go. It has moments, but ultimately it's cheesy as fuck. But it has its moments where it it just makes you feel good. And it makes you just want to fucking play catch with your dad. You know, it just makes you want to get out there and play catch with your dad.
All right. So I'm also going to mention Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure because...
I already said it, but go ahead. Yeah, keep going.
Rock on. I love it. I know. I just want to call it out.
Okay.
And Major League. That's it. That's the baseball movie of 1989 for me.
What's your favorite?
You can keep your Field of Dreams.
Fuck Field of Dreams.
I'll raise you Major League,
I
baby.
also personally have seen Major League over 60 times.
Me too. That was it lived on TNT for like the greater part of my childhood.
Field of Dreams is always on TV.
On VHS.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams is always on TV. And also that was the one that if you like baseball, you had to own Field of Dreams. What's your favorite line for Major League?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay, cool.
I think it's the boss sitting there when Wild Thing's playing. I hate this fucking song.
I hate this fucking song. Yeah, that's good.
I love the baseball announcer who just passed away. I'm going to fuck up his name. Matt and Mark are going to get really pissed at me. Swung on. And yeah, he's like, just a bit outside. Just any single line he says.
It's so much older than I thought it was. Honestly, that's crazy.
Not Tom Berenger. What the fuck is his theme?
The Cook the Thief, his wife and her lover. The film.
I've seen that.
Oh, Bob Uecker, of course. Anything Bob Uecker says on here. It's about time. Oh my God, he's so good.
Did we mention Kickboxer? Some fucking solid Van Damme.
Oh,
Did you guys ever watch that one? They're all the same movie, but that one's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Do they all kickbox?
They're all blood sport, but they're good.
Okay. I want to get into the world events. Ready to go to world events?
Let's go to world events.
Couldn't want anything more.
Okay, cool. So the big things that happened in 1989. I'm gonna
time me up, time me down. Keep going.
I'm going to do some fun ones not fun ones first. The less fun ones were the Tiananmen Square protest that led to some deaths that you still can't Google in China. Happened here in 1989.
Tiananmen Square.
I mean, the Berlin Wall came down. That's pretty important here in 1989.
Got them out in the open. Yeah.
In Alaska's Prince William Sound, the Exxon Valdez spills 240,000 barrels. Yeah. Reagan smash. Reagan smash.
Reagan smash.
The first free elections in Poland since the Holocaust led to a liberal takeover of the government there in Poland. 200,000 protesters in Prague, Czechoslovakia call for the resignation of the country's communist government in the Velvet Revolution. If you've ever heard of the term Velvet Revolution, now you know what it's about. Okay, cool. I'm going to do some fun ones now. Here we go. Ritz Crackers. Ritz Crackers cost $1.79. A ribeye steak costs $3.79.
Damn.
But really, this is a year of firsts. Are you ready? It's the first Simpsons episode, the first Seinfeld episode, the first Nintendo Game Boy, the first World Wide Web, which was incorporated this year, the first GPS satellite in space, the first HD TV telecast ever came out of Japan, and the first film in the Disney Renaissance, The Little Mermaid. A lot of firsts in here. The top song this year was, you guessed it, Another Day in Paradise by Phil Collins.
You guessed.
Yep. The guy who became famous back then.
2 ears and a heart, don't I?
Faxing the divorce papers to his wife.
I'm making you a mixtape. Do you like Phil Collins? 2 ears and a heart, don't I?
Topher was somehow a top 10 baby name.
Topher?
In 1989...
Topher Grace is in Heretic. I'm going to talk about it at the end of this episode.
In 1989, only 50% of the U.S. had 911 service. Only 50%. That is not enough. Ooh, there's one other
That's some
first.
fucking natural selection
It was
right
a
there.
simpler time. Yeah.
This is what I-
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can't believe there weren't more.
Good luck,
cases-
America.
Yeah.
And now 50%
Wait,
of
you
you
ready?
have health insurance instead.
Are you guys ready? The first legal beer in Iceland since 1915. That's right. Beer was banned in Iceland until March 1st, 1989 from
It's
1915.
the perfect place to keep it cool.
But 20 years earlier, they had unbanned all alcoholic beverages. However, after this, every March 1st, Iceland now celebrates Beer Day. So we get some fun out of that. And the first Reebok pump shoes were released November 24th, 1989. Tell me you don't remember people pumping up those fucking shoes.
Bro, I had a pair.
Yeah.
I had a
They
fucking
mentioned
pair of
it.
that shit.
I had a pair too. They seem so cool for
I skipped
10
that whole
seconds.
thing.
It's like Hungry Hungry Hippos. You think it's so cool until you actually do it, and then you're like, that's it?
That's it.
They
Yeah.
do make a reference to it in Austin Powers for those of you who have fun, except they do not explode powder on your face. That is not true. Guess what the number one TV show was in 1989? Go ahead, guys. Give you a guess.
Dallas.
Was Dallas on the air in 1989 or was it before that?
Was
I don't know.
it?
No.
I thought it was
Dave?
early 80s.
Dave?
No idea.
The Cosby Show. Come on. You already forgot
Oh.
about Cosby?
Yeah,
You're
I was
right.
supposed to.
Was number one, just beating out Roseanne and Cheers.
Pudding pop eating motherfucker.
The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan was published in 1989, becoming a bestseller adapted to a film. You know what else came out this year as a book? V for Vendetta, the graphic novel, came out. Madonna's Like a Prayer album was released March 21st. The Detroit Pistons won their first NBA championship by defeating the Lakers. And the first climate change international panel from the UN, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, was in 1989. And guess what? Republican President George H.W. Bush acknowledged that sea levels were going to rise and global heat was on the rise, and we should do something about climate change. That's right. A Republican in 1989
you stupid fucks.
mentioned that.
Sea levels are gonna rise. They're gonna
Sea
get
levels
up
are gonna
there.
rise.
They're gonna rise
last
up
but not
there,
least,
and then we're gonna.
Some cost of living things here to bring us home. A new house
We're gonna
costs
have the best sea levels.
$120,000. The average income was $27,225,000 per year. So let's pause. We just did 1962 when we talked about A Day on Wine and Roses, where the average income was $6,000 and the average house was $12,000. So it was double. Right now, it's $27,000 per year. The average house is $120,000. That's 4 times.
And that's in the worst city in America. I'm
And
telling
that's-
you.
and that's
I mean,
in
this
the
is, you know
80s.
where you actually want to live is a house, $120,000. I'm sorry.
I will-
That's no offense
I will
to anybody who
never
bought that
forget-
house, but
I will never forget seeing Hell or High Water, that movie. And then the one girl that was tipped $200 by the bank robbers. And then like Jeff Bridges is like, you got to give that money back. And she was like, but that's half my mortgage. And I was like, you have a $400 a month mortgage? That's the first thing I thought.
all you have to do is live in rural Texas, and maybe that will
That's
be
right.
your.
Don't mind the
mortgage. That's
tire
correct.
fire.
A new car
God
costs
almighty.
$15,000. So a little bit more than half the average annual income. That checks out. The average rent was $425 per month. Okay. Tuition to Harvard was $12,000 a year, not a semester.
I could put Harvard on my credit card right now.
So one semester,
Like,
that
you
is
just put back
easily
in.
quadrupled. Yeah, you could put, well, hey, Dave, thanks for letting us know your numbers. Any other cost of living things? Let's see. Gas was 97 cents per gallon nationally. That sounds pretty good. Movie ticket was $3.50. So think about all these movies that came out. It was only $3.50 a ticket.
$3.50.
Can you imagine what Batman would have made now at $20 a ticket? And then postage stamps were 25 cents. Anything else? Eggs were 78 cents per dozen. That's never going to happen again. Yeah, that's it.
Cool.
There you go.
Wow.
You guys want to look at this? You know what?
Mr. Gorbachev. All right, let's do it, dude.
Guys, we're getting into this movie more than 10 minutes earlier than we did our last 2 episodes. So that's a big win for us. I'm going to
Yes.
go ahead and do this here.
Yeah, for 10 minutes.
By 10 minutes. And that's even, I hit pee break by accident. Sorry. And that's even with me.
The irony of hitting the pee break while the gushing music is playing.
Gush and pee. Hey, don't you play any waterfall sound effects for me? Fuck. Okay, let's talk about The Abyss.
It's late. Okay.
Dave saw the theatrical. John and I saw the theatrical cut. John was not happy that Dave saw the director's cut after saying, "We're really only doing the theatrical cut." I would have watched the full cut. Dave, you just said something, you dick. You knew.
I know.
I
fully intended to watch theatrical, but like it came up. And it was $3.99 to rent and $4.99 to buy. So I just fucking bought it, and then it was the special edition was sitting right there, and I just fucking went for it.
Wait, where was it $4.99 to buy?
Yeah, where was
Apple.
the $4.99 to buy?
Wow, I didn't see that. I'm going to do this. Now that I've rented it twice for you fucking assholes.
Why did you rent it twice?
Because when I rented it on Apple, it doesn't call it the director's cut, folks at home. It calls it the special edition. And it just said rent the special, because I had clicked on the only option to rent, which was, it looked like it was the theatrical. It said the runtime was 220. And it said, do you want to rent this, the Abyss special? I said, yeah. And it opened it up and it was 2 hours and 50 minutes. I was like, oh shit, whoops.
Just push play. You should have just pushed play. You should have just done it. Look at it. What the fuck do we care? What do we care?
I was hosting with some sticklers. Anyway, so I jumped over to Amazon.
Sticklers for the inferior version?
Dude,
I jumped over to Amazon and I rented the theatrical
Chaos Goblin. What are you talking about?
Come on. God, you guys.
I can't wait to.
It doesn't matter. Really good. I'm excited to hear what you're talking. So,
I actually
is
think
Jeff
I'm happy
the only one of us who has never seen this before?
Yes.
Then I think you should go first for the first time. And what'd you think history?
All right, fine. Let me go ahead and read the IMDb description here, like I always do, except I have Major League up.
Wow,
I was looking for Bob Euchre. Okay, so let me read the IMDb description. I'm the only one who had never seen this before. It's one of the few James Camerons. Piranha 2 is up there for me as well. I'd never seen Piranha 2. And then we're going to go around the horn with no stuffy criticism from us. We're going to tell you what we thought, what we felt. James Cameron wrote and directed. Here's the IMDb description. Ed Harris. Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. Michael Biehn, a favorite of James Cameron, who had already been in 2 James Cameron movies before this. Here we go. Shout out to Chris Elliot, too. Okay. A civilian diving team is enlisted to search for a lost nuclear submarine and faces danger when encountering an alien aquatic species. So I saw the ILM documentary and I got really excited maybe 2 years ago now, because The Abyss was that huge turning point. It was right before T2, of course. Jurassic Park was not too far into the distant future.
I'm pretty sure the digital effects branch was just forming when they hit this.
So basically it was like, can computers actually live up to models and all the other kind of scaling stuff that Star Wars and all the other great films of the 80s did? Like, can you actually make a program sentient, or at least appear such on screen? And I remember they were so excited about the creature, specifically the little stabby looking thing that comes up and like models their faces and stuff, even more so than the aliens. They're the little lit up jellyfish looking aliens. They were so excited about that. I remember that very vividly. I was like, oh, this looks so cool. And they were talking about it and that kind of stuff. And James Cameron was in the ILM documentary. This is on Disney Plus. So I've been having my eye on this movie for a long time. And I did not watch the director's cut, although apparently, and Dave, you'll have to tell John and I, his face is going to get red when you start talking about it, but apparently a lot of the subplot that was cut was describing how the aliens might be bad, which we didn't get any of in this movie. I feel like it was all pretty positive, and it was I don't know.
That wasn't like the context of the subplot.
So you know which scenes were added versus which weren't.
Yeah. The subplot that you get is the aliens are sick of our shit.
So that sounds like they might be dangerous and want to fuck humanity up, and they're literally chilling with a whole bunch of nuclear warheads underwater. So that sounds about right.
No. It's a whole different thing. We'll get to that in a minute.
I thought the first half of this movie was really great, and I really liked it. The second half of the movie was not so much. John?
All right.
Dave?
Yeah, Dave, you go.
I've seen this about 6 times. Big fan of this thing. I will say, though, the effects are starting to look a little dated now. But if you can get past that, it's a hell of a fucking story.
By the effects, do you specifically mean the aliens, the lights, or do you mean like the underwater?
I mean,
like it's getting flooded.
I mean, some of the aliens. What like they do that? Like the stuff they used in Ghostbusters, where it kind of looked like it was because it was painted on or cut. The film was cut, or the glow stuff where they disappear into the water. It just doesn't quite sell anymore. It did when I watched it every other time, but this time I was like, oh, that's starting to look a little old.
Well, what about the story? So you really like connect to the story? You like the pacing? You like?
Yeah, I love the pacing. You spend a lot of time with these guys, and yeah, they introduce the because I love that you only see the aliens for 20 minutes of the film tops, and but the rest of and there is a whole other threat that's happening and a ticking clock and everything that's going on under there. Aside from the weather event that they're under, that's causing all sorts of ruckus.
That's cool.
There is a lot going on in this movie, and you've got these people who have a connection. The connection was broken, and now it's this interesting mishmash that's just all fucking trapped underwater together.
Yeah, it's like Twister. It's like Armageddon meets Twister underwater with aliens.
She didn't bring divorce papers down.
Okay, touche. I did think about that. I was like, please have divorce papers. Please have divorce papers. So just so John can feel what I feel every week, I'm going to respond to what you said before he can talk. And then let's see. So all I'm going to say is I'm with you because I really was gripped and I really like this movie. What I would say, my argument for why I feel like the second half, well, first of all, I love the two of them. Their storyline, what's going to happen. I don't need divorce papers. I just need the two of them. That's great. And then the way he looks when she's dying and all that kind of stuff, I thought was done well. Even the couple cheesy lines of like, you gave 4 years to this project, but only 3 years to me. I will totally take. I know James Cameron's writing.
Yeah.
He's a softie. I'll buy it.
Cheesy, yeah.
I'll buy it. But I feel like a lot of the second half could be written into a Wikipedia page and then just done really well. I lost like the nuance. So when it's like, oh, well, there's more story here. And it's like, okay, but there's so much like, we need to do this to get that so that we can survive this underwater to get to there to do that. And it's like, but then it was just a lot of, again, things that I could read on Wikipedia versus see. So that would be the argument as to why it fazed me, as opposed to the first half, which built up so much suspense, a lot of which was not only on the screen, but it left me thinking off the screen. Whereas the second half, it was like, God, I hope they complete this mission successfully. So that's all I'll say about that for right this particular moment. And let's see what John's... Yeah, you can buzz me. You can fucking... I see you reaching. Go ahead. Do it. I dare you.
What?
John?
I'll roll my mouth up.
Yeah,
okay.
I wanted to ask
buzz you with this hand,
I wanted to ask you, where would the second half begin for you? Like, when did you start feeling that?
Okay, I think they had a choice. They had a couple choices. So you clearly had the... What do you mean, sorry?
I dropped something on the ground and made a loud noise. I guess it didn't make it
Zoom
across.
filtered it out, and our audience isn't going to hear it either. But you're forgiven. Okay. Their storyline, which again is like Armageddon, but with a Twister divorce story, underwater, is great. And then you had Americans attacking them because they're worried about the Cold War and they're worried that other Russians may be monitoring them. And so it becomes this weird internal battle where the rescue mission becomes like an international espionage kind of story pretty quickly, where Americans are against Americans and who's hiring who. I actually really loved that. The fairy tale, it just did not work for me. I kind of loved it as like, they did this in Game of Thrones is a good example where they're like, you can't play the superhero card too much. So Daenerys can walk on fire and not get burned. You can't play that too much. So if Ed Harris gets hoisted out by aliens, that's great. I would rather a fucking Thumbelina or Ferngully just lift him up and I know nothing, than to have like 20 minutes of them like thinking about those things. But I feel like that softened all of the espionage stuff so much, mixed with all of the like long-winded action sequences, that I was like, I don't know. I don't know. It just felt a little soft for me.
So saying one more time really clearly, you're saying you were fairly on board until he was taken in by the aliens at the very end?
No, it was before that. It was well before that, because I felt like I was just watching the Wikipedia for a while. I was into the sci-fi story, but then it turned into a Wikipedia entry. But the only way out of that was aliens to turn it into a fairy tale. And that just like, I was like, okay, that's it.
I have a funny feeling. I think I know where it turned for you. It's when it was confirmed that they existed. Because up until that point, it was like she's the only one seen it.
I guess
so she has to get them to believe her.
Maybe that is a good point. But again, I still feel like around that era, the rest of it, the rest of like the good versus bad, Americans versus Americans, who's going crazy. Whereas like Leviathan, it's not as good as this, but like at least it gets crazier and crazier and crazier. So like the progression makes sense. But there was a period where it like settled and it was just kind of like, okay, what are we going to do now? And it's, I don't know, it just didn't feel, it just didn't feel interesting. Like I didn't really, I knew they were all going to live. I knew they were all going to survive. And even if they did, I just didn't feel the stakes of the world on their hands anymore. And so it's like, I don't know, it just fizzled out for me.
I think, for what it's worth, I think I felt that very similar to what you're describing, because there's always a bit of a letdown with happy endings, and I think this is a happy ending.
Yeah.
After really intense, this movie doesn't present itself as an adventure film, and a lot of times in adventure films, they are happy endings, and you're just there to watch it play out because you know everybody's going to make it that's supposed to make it. This movie presents like initially like there's a little bit, I mean, it's still James Cameron. I think everybody knew that, but maybe a little bit more tension. Maybe the alien and the underwater aspect you thought it was going to be maybe be a little bit more horrifying. Bottom line is, every time I've seen this, I've liked it more.
Oh,
and
interesting.
I think part of the reason why is because, like so many of his movies, especially if you're going to watch that long cut, 2 hours and 50 minutes, I'm only going back to live in this unbelievably executed world.
Yeah.
It's the world that he creates, the reality of each of these things. Like the story of T2 is probably as good as it gets, I think, for James
100%.
Cameron storytelling. I mean, I love Titanic too. I know that's funny to some people, but I think that's a great movie. But the execution of the storytelling, the script, what happens when it happens keeps everybody's butthole tightening throughout all of T2.
Don't make this gesture while you're talking about butthole tightening.
Whereas the Abyss, you use the word settles, and like you're not wrong. It's just the more I watch it, I don't care. Like I love being down there with them. It looks, first of all, and I know we're kind of moving into more than just what I thought now, and I'll just kick it off. We'll just go into the next section. Dave, I brought this up with T2, but God damn it, his movies look amazing. They look perfect, dude. The fucking cinematography.
You get one of the best shots of the movie.
Gorgeous.
In the first, I want to say 5 minutes, when they have to move the rig. And it's just this country music playing. They're singing along the country music, and then you've just got the small pod and the giant rig behind it. But it's such a wide shot; it looks massive, and the pod looks tiny. And I'm like, just my jaw dropped, and I've seen it 6 times. But every time I see that shot,
that's a miniature effect shot.
Yeah,
and it looks fucking amazing. And I guess you can. So I guess
fun fact: do you know how they did the pod? The little pod. They use technology that's still in use today. They put tiny projectors inside the pods and reprojected the film onto the inside.
Oh, that's cool.
Of the pod. That's
cool.
It was a composite, but it was a composite done in camera.
Yeah.
And Disney actually uses that on some of their animatronics these days in the parks.
I also love that. It was so good. And it looked,
I think,
I agree.
But I hear what you're saying, Jeff, and it is kind of one of those maybe a concession that I've made a little bit in my relationship with this movie, which is, I mean, he is the Terminator guy, so he's clearly not afraid of making movies where machines and technology are a bad thing. But I feel like James Cameron kind of lives in that place of like, he loves the conflict of how you can love technology and also fear it, and this is definitely the movie that for better or for worse, depending on the viewer, he chose to make one where he wanted to show humans in dealing with that conflict, while the entire time the aliens are never actually a threat, and in the end, they're not a threat. It's a happy ending. So
unless you watch the special edition,
and we never saw the Russians, which I was curious too. I was like, because if we saw Americans versus Russians and then aliens came in and like chose the good guys or something, that obviously could have gone awry. But it was interesting that
the special edition at all. Yeah, it's more about what's happening.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn the spoiler alert on now. We're getting into this early, but we're gonna just in case, because I'm gonna tell you what happens in the special edition, because I can't remember in the theatrical version. Do they show him when they've like got him? And they show him TV clips and stuff? Do they show like America and Russia gearing up?
So they don't show any TV clips at all in the theatrical.
No. Okay,
correct.
It cuts straight to his text.
Yeah. They do a little bit of
one-way trip.
Okay.
This will be a one-way trip.
Yeah, no, you get a whole heap of stuff about what's going on in the world up above, and and then these giant fucking tidal waves get thrown at cities, and they stop because they can control the water just before it hits the city, and it really adds so much to the movie because, like, they are sick of our shit. It's like you're going to destroy the planet with us on it. Fuck you. Here's 6 tidal waves. We can do this to you anytime. Settle the fuck down. So the aliens are a threat at the end, but only because they've been pushed to it. They're basically
it's kind of interesting,
giving everyone a spanking a little bit.
Yeah, because in the special edition they make that clear. In the theatrical,
it's more about the sacrifice he made.
But there's still an inferred threat.
Yeah,
that we're here to be peaceful because of someone like you. You've shown us that humans can be good. In the special edition, it makes it very clear that they are planning on not being peaceful until they are proven wrong.
Yeah.
So it's way more political, if you will. That's a very general way of saying it. The special edition is way more political. Quick anecdote about why they made that decision. This is out of James Cameron's mouth. They did 2 test screenings back to back, and ILM had not finished the special edition's ending, so they didn't finish the tidal wave sequence. So it would just have some really cruddy, halfway done special effects with some words underneath about how it was going to be totally fleshed out. And at the end, which one do you think scored better? The theatrical cut without that at all, or the special effects version, the special edition version with low-grade special effects?
I think the one without it.
Without.
They scored the exact same score.
Huh.
Wow.
So they said, as filmmakers, they were like, "Well,
a trick question.
I guess we don't need to pay $20 more million for ILM to finish that shot if it's not going to make a fucking difference." And then he, of course, says, "I wish I had not done that. I wish I had stuck with held out, made the studio wait."
Have you seen
finished it?
The extra bit about those scenes? One of the beach scenes where it shows the tidal wave coming off. There's one of the extras reaches out and pants one of the others on camera. It's still in the frame. Some dude gets pantsed.
Oh,
that's funny.
It's so good.
You can find that clip on the internet. The dude getting pantsed.
So I don't want to move away from story too carelessly, Jeff, because I do want to give.
This is part of the progression. I'm not the only one. The Metacritic wasn't very high. It didn't make a lot of money. So I bet you this is one of those ones where when I know what it is, I go back in a year or two and I like it more. I bet you
definitely went with the super happy ending.
I don't mind the ending. You don't understand. I'm okay that she came back to life. I'm okay with the ending. It just felt cheesy. It just felt a fairy tale. I feel like there's a fucking Mormon tabernacle choir every single time I saw the goddamn aliens. And before I saw the aliens, it was just a lot of shit that I could have read about, or it would have looked good, but we could have wrapped it up 45 minutes sooner. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't really good and it didn't ask big questions. I just feel like the big questions.
You guys,
I don't know if they mattered so much. The nuclear weapons, I don't feel like mattered that much at the end of this movie. I don't feel like us disarming the nuclear weapons mattered that much at the end of this movie.
I think everything you're saying is pointing to points I've made about James Cameron's storytelling before, where something like how aliens are portrayed and how are some of the devices of our most threatening obstacles in the movie are portrayed are going to like dictate the tone of the movie and whether or not it's supposed to be we're still having fun, this is fun to watch, or I'm actually supposed to be scared and this is very dramatic. One choice that has never stuck with me, that I've never understood why he did this, the score in general, when the aliens, it's most noticeable when the aliens are present. And I think it's their biggest missed opportunity. Apparently, he said from the beginning, it's in the script. He made it very clear. The producers, I heard saying this in multiple interviews on the wonderful making of, which is there, is that James really wanted these aliens to seem non-threatening. Like, that's the point. What happens when you're overwhelmed by this non-threatening entity? How are humans still going to find a way to treat it as an adversary?
It's so funny because I read that in the director's edition that, like I already said, the aliens, they're meant to be more threatening, and then they tone it down. Sorry, back to you.
No, I'm just saying, I agree with you. And I think one way you do that with movies, with this particular medium, is what music sounds like. What sound design happens, you're telling people what they're supposed to, hopefully what they're allowed to feel, not telling them what to feel. And I feel like that alone kind of dictates a very specific tone that makes people feel like they're just observing something that isn't raising the stakes on the storytelling. And it pushes you back into a place where a scene where like she is trying to tell Ed Harris, no, believe me, they're real. They're like machines, but they're not like ours. And she's saying it just puts you in a place where you know so much, maybe too much as an audience member, and you're waiting for these characters to figure it out, where I wonder if he could have towed that line a little bit more so that up until the very end, we were not sure if they were good or bad. Because I don't think you get that feeling throughout the movie.
And Dave, is that not what...
I did on the first watch. I got that feeling on the first watch. Like, are they malicious or not? Like, because you didn't really know. But on the rewatch, I don't know, it sits well with me that I already know the outcome.
Well, and you're just watching them live, yeah.
But again, and the Russian threat is 1989. So again, the context of this is good.
That's the thing. The Russian threat is brought about by America's insistence that it must have been the Russians that did it. So that's meant to be the tomfoolery of humans. And
that's good. And that becomes like the
jumping to fucking conclusions like they always do.
And they'll literally attack and kill Americans to prevent a maybe non-threat from anything that could be related.
Okay, let's talk about Michael Biehn for a second, because that dude never once looks fucking sane. And his performance...
But he also probably feels so much swagger. If James Cameron's like, I've seen you in 2 movies and I want you in a 3rd. He's probably like, I could do whatever I want.
But I want you to be fucking nuts. Like his devolvement as he gets, like, because you straight up, you see the symptoms that he's got the compression sickness. Oh, yeah. But like his devolvement is, that's the ticking time bomb, not the fucking nuke. Because it's like, what the fuck's this guy going to do?
So was there only one nuke? So there are 124 like missiles, but only one was a nuke. Is that the truth? Is that what it was?
No. They took one. They took one of the warheads out. They took one of the nuclear warheads, the other warheads out of the missile. Fine, because those warheads had like 6.
Right. But none of them were threatening except for the one.
No, they could only take one. How many fucking nukes do you need, dude? They thought they only needed one to
You're
kill
blowing
up the planet.
Aliens.
It's not the fucking Death Star.
I know. But then the other ones are just down in the ocean still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This was definitely not a story about...
You know what I wish? I wish the alien said, we can defuse those, because I'm sitting there going, this could be a sequel where there's 100 fucking nuclear warheads down there still. I'm sorry, but like I can't just forget that. Anyway.
That is the biggest plot hole, especially because the special effects pseudopod water thing looks at the nuclear warhead. So you know that it knows that what it is, and then you're supposed to believe that it was somehow sitting down there and they would need a human's help to solve that problem. It is the biggest plot hole for sure.
Anyway, what I will say is, before I started saying negative things earlier in the good thing, I did say I spent a lot of time wondering what happened to these kinds of sci-fi action movies, adventure movies. Like whenever I see them now, even the ones that like, we want this to look bad, they look bad in the way that like they'd still be hanging up in MoMA. You know what I mean? So whenever I see like a $200 million Netflix or Apple movie that's like a sci-fi adventure movie, and they're like, we need it to seem shitty and lived in. It's like, okay. But I also feel like those actors have never touched a piece of that scenery before, and they're not allowed to. And I also feel like this could be hanging up in a museum. Like this movie is so dirty and nasty, I can't imagine it hanging up in a museum.
If I'm not mistaken,
it looks like it's greasy. It looks like Ed Harris still has grease in his fingernails 40 years later.
Ironically,
which he might, because apparently he didn't like
like a half-built nuclear reactor to house this thing in. That it was in the dish, and or the half sphere. And they build the entire rig.
Yeah, they built everything inside of that tank.
And it was still there till 2007.
I mean, what was that? I said $70 million budget. You just did that, right? So like double or quadruple it for today at the very minimum. Like at the very minimum, that's like $180 million budget today. And they also hired, none of that came from the actors. They didn't pay their actors very much. Ed Harris was a nobody. The studio didn't want him. So Ed Harris didn't ask for a lot of money.
Shit, too.
Yeah. And apparently they were mad that his hair was thinning. And James Cameron, smart, said, actually, it makes him look like an everyman. I'm sorry. Did he just help Bruce Willis? Did they help each other out in 1989? what was that hard? 1988? They helped each other out. They both got the blues. All you need are blue eyes, receding hairline. You're an everyman. And then strong female lead, obviously, like Aliens and all those other movies. But yeah, like such a huge budget, and apparently they fucking hated working on it, and they had to do underwater shit, and they all like suffered the consequences of having to do
there
that
weren't
kind
a lot of stunt people on the film either, so a lot of that time when they're being blown away by water and shit like that, it was them doing it.
It looked real as shit.
Yeah, because they were doing it.
6 months, filming 6 days a week, underwater for 10 hours of those days.
Here's the ultimate one,
and as an actor, how much acting are you doing every day?
Also,
right?
you're underwater in a diving suit.
Now, hold on. Let's call this out. And I'm not saying no criticism to the actors. They went through a lot, but James Cameron was underwater every hour of that day that anybody was underwater. No actor was underwater for more than 6 hours a day on those shooting days. He was underwater usually twice that for every shooting day.
That's why he had to do. That's why he had to do Total. Well, he did T2 next, and then Total Recall. He needed some time away. He needed some.
He didn't do Total Recall.
No,
that came out this year, and it actually won the best sci-fi at the Saturn Award.
Fuck, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. True Lies, 95 or whatever. I know T2 is his next film. Shut the fuck up.
It's worth calling out. It's worth calling out. This is the first movie to record dialogue underwater. They created the first recording systems inside those helmets. It's I guess I don't want to downplay at all, because I think it's going to be more and more shocking as younger people discover this film over time. What you just said, Jeff, about like, why don't they look like this? It's because it's real. This was, for better or for worse, you can criticize them all you fucking want.
What did I say? Why don't they look like what?
Why don't they look dirty? Why don't they look? What are all the new sci-fi movies?
The set,
but Jeff, but half the reason it doesn't look like they've ever been on that scenery is because half of it's not real.
Well, that's true.
Half of it is not fucking actually there. The background isn't there.
Like even Dune, people say it looks too good. I was like, no, that looks like Timothée Chalamet like still has dirt under his eyelids. Like, I actually, but I feel like nobody will be happy. But I know what you mean. You're right.
We do. We just need to give it up. And I guess I'm not just saying this as like a purist of cinema. I think it makes a huge, huge difference in your experience watching this movie that almost every single thing is practical that happens to a human being. In some way, they are actually underwater. In some way, they are actually in a set, which is either being filled with water or... I mean, and they're still, don't get me wrong, there's still
7.5 million gallons of water to be specific.
Yeah. And there are still I think this movie, I just think it looks incredible. It's so gorgeous.
It definitely
Every
does.
single hallway inside that ship has a single point perspective, gigantic light at the end of it that is just, blinding whoever is walking any direction. At the very end of that hall, there's lots of expressive cinematography, but it feels tactile. It feels gross. It does feel very realistic. Part of that is also because nobody in this movie looks like a fucking superhero. Like the big guys in this movie don't look like fucking Aquaman, excuse me, but that aesthetic hasn't really come in yet. Like if Arnold had been in this movie, I think it would have been half as good.
Yeah.
If Arnold was Ed Harris, it would have looked like that kind of thing.
Got to get the nukes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Mr. Universe isn't at your local gym. Like stay hungry.
Yeah. Fuck that film.
But honestly, the filmmaking, I mean, you can't just scrub by this. Like no one has ever done anything like this before, ever. And this kind of ambition.
Jeez.
What the fuck?
Stop hitting the buttons.
Dave, stop.
I'm not touching it. Keep going.
This kind of ambition is just unprecedented. I just feel like it just needs to be enjoyed. So I will guarantee, I think, Dave, maybe you can, Dave, maybe you can join me on this. Jeff, maybe you'll join us one day. I do think it's a very, very rewatchable, deep sea drama movie that's fun to go back to because it is so incredibly immersive. You're really going to find yourself just wanting to go back to the abyss.
I mean, I
not necessarily wanting more from the story.
I don't want
I'm
to
never
cheapen
going
your
in a
argument
submarine
by saying that I already saw this 6 times and I told you that. But
I'm never going in a submarine.
I agree. Yeah,
I'm never going in a submersible ever.
I think you can safely say the last thing you want to see coming at you in your sub is a wall of water, and they did that shot. Like
last
right at the
thing I
beginning.
want anywhere in life is a wall of water.
Yeah, fair.
Look, there is more water than surface on this planet. We should save our planet for everything underwater, even more than everything above water. I'm never going under the water. I'm never doing it. Fuck it.
Right,
I love swimming.
That was me when I was like fucking 10 years old and I saw the making of Jaws.
Yeah. I mean, like most people, I love the Wim Hof thing, so you can breathe underwater for a long time. Kate Winslet apparently got 7 minutes underwater with one breath, and she came back and said, "Am I dead?" for the new Avatar movie, because apparently they're really going to have 3 more.
Yeah,
but fuck no, I'm not going to do it. And when she sits there and says, "I'll die," and you bring me back to life, I would say, "I'm going to die, and you're going to keep me dead." This is like, fuck it.
How intense!
And I don't
want
to be drowned. Can you just kill me right now?
Her performance underneath was like as that water was coming up. That's the scene I was talking about last week, where I was like, I want to see what you think of that scene, because that was fucking.
I was going to make all these jokes about the rat, and then apparently they had to cut away from the rat because it was shitting itself, and not because that's what happens.
I mean, they'd have to cut away from me too.
Yeah,
some motherfucker dipped me in that fluid.
When she did it, and then it's flooding up, and then she starts to basically have the second doubts, which aren't really second doubts because she was practical, but then she actually is confronted with the fact that she's maybe not going to die. Like, and she's like, "No, it's a bad idea." No, I was like, that was really visceral. That was really hard to watch.
I will tell you though, my favorite line in the film is just after the water tentacle, where they do this big thing where they're having this whole moment with it, and he slams the door on it. And straight away it just cuts to, so who thinks that was a Russian water tentacle that we just saw?
Her line, yeah, that's great.
It's the only.
How good is
It's pretty much the only comedy in the film, and it's one of the best delivered lines in the movie.
It's so good.
How good is the resuscitation scene?
That's tense as well.
God.
It goes on a little long, I think.
Especially in the special edition. Well, it's long, but I remember in the special edition, the first time I watched it, I was like, that's the most realistic.
Yeah.
Because it's so long, like it goes on and on and on, and it becomes, you start to finally feel the way that every movie wants you to feel what people around the person who wants to keep them alive. You want to, you know what I'm saying? Sorry.
Yeah.
Every movie wants you to be on the sides of the, like, let her go. She's gone. Even in the theatrical cut, it's a little too short. And they tell him that very quickly. After like him doing it like twice. Do her breaths. They're like, she's gone, dude.
With friends
in the
like
special edition, it goes on and on and on and on, and you really feel like, why is he still doing it? Like, she's dead.
They say 10 to 15 minutes, and he was there for like 6-7 minutes. I mean, 8 minutes is a long time, and yeah, for sure.
Anyway, that's a really good scene. I also just, before we move on too far, I just want to also like back up for a second because, you know, we're film podcast. The techniques that they learned on this movie are why Titanic is a masterpiece. Like the filmmaking stuff that they learned about how to film with water, in water, around water. Everybody who worked on this all said in private interviews, like, oh yeah, and we learned how to do this, and we did it on Titanic, and we learned how to like take it up a notch. But like none of those techniques existed before this movie.
This also
none
gave
of
us
the equipment existed before this movie.
This also gave us the liquid Terminator from Terminator 2.
Exactly. Yeah, sure. It did that as well. So there's also like, even if you want to look at this, like, even if you want to say like it's not the most brilliant, compelling story, in terms of like what this did as a stepping stone for a lot of things in this industry are crazy. And I do, Dave, I know what you're saying about there are a few effects that are starting to look a little old school effecty. It looks better than almost every other movie that was made around that time that used special effects, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the lighting is incredible.
Just something to think about.
But also the miniature work is almost second to none. There's only one.
Fantastic.
There's only one where you go, all right, that's a fucking miniature.
And the alien, the little alien,
Yeah.
guys, that's a puppet. That's practical.
What?
Yeah.
There you go.
They used
Blew your
2
fucking
different
mind.
tanks of water. So, it would be moving around in special effects, but as soon as it was stationary in front of her or at the end when it's speaking to him, they did this wonderful classic effect where they had what sounded to me like 2 different tanks of water. In the first tank that was closer to the camera, they had the thing that would flow, that would be its wings. In the second tank, that would be totally in line with the camera relative to where the wing things were, was a puppet. And then they lit them. They just lit them internally the way they used to do creature work.
Yeah.
How it looked amazing. It looked fucking great.
Up and it gets up to her face. C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Jesus
It looked
Christ.
good.
But
It
yeah,
looked good.
I did not know that was a puppet.
amazing.
That's great.
Fucking
for sure.
still pretty believable.
Yeah.
I think the
Still very
pseudopod
believable.
is probably the hardest effect for me to swallow. And even then, like, I'm in this crazy world. Like, I can still do it. It still just doesn't bother me that much. Anyway.
I think it's great. I'm
know-
very happy I saw it, and that's basically it.
Did you know? Let's just quick train of thought here. When they went into the sub and you had the dead crewman, that was
Just the one, right?
that was but that was Mike Cameron, James
Oh, his
Cameron's brother,
His brothers.
playing
Yeah,
a
his
drowned
brother.
submarine, and he actually let the crab crawl out of his mouth. And apparently they had to
That's
do
awesome.
they'd do 6 takes or something because a couple of times he had to crush the crab in his teeth because like he took too long to set up the fucking lights or something. How many?
Set up the lights. I'm not putting that crab in my fucking mouth until those lights are fucking set. Are you kidding
I'm
me?
an only child, so I'm curious. Would anyone else have a brother that would do this for them?
No, but here's the thing.
Let's ask Dasan
If your
if he would do that.
no, but here's the thing. If your brother was James Cameron and he made The Terminator and Aliens, and he's like, you can be in my movie, I'd be like, I would literally do anything.
But you have to put
I
a
would
crab in your
fucking do
mouth
anything.
and lay in the
I
water.
would do anything.
Fun little
'Cause
fact
otherwise,
about
you're
Mike
just an
Cameron.
extra. Otherwise, you're Ron Howard's brother, who's like, he's fine. but
No.
it's like-
Fun fact about Mike Cameron: serious diver. So he's with James. They're hardcore. Mike has done stunts. He's also an electrician. He created
fun.
for this movie. He created
loves
what is
seafood.
now a standard thing. So we don't even think about this because this is the first time they've ever fucking done this before. He created a device that holds a camera that a camera operator can swim with that has little jets on it. So it can actually move as though you're dollying underwater. He built
Get out
it.
of here.
Yeah, you
He
can
fucking
change
built it for the movie.
You can change the axis of the camera.
It's fucking,
despite
it's just
whatever
next
direction
level.
you're filming.
Well,
So
that's
basically-
pretty
Mike was
good.
It
underwater.
was an underwater drone he built.
Yeah, Mike was
Mike built
underwater
an
with
underwater
them the whole time. I mean,
See?
all in the family on that shit.
I would do that, and I would also let a crab come out of my mouth. Like, I would totally do that. I would.
It is kind of shocking, isn't it? A little bit shocking, you guys. Like you said, Metacritic, it did not get well
it's like
reviewed.
70,
that has,
it's something like that.
but that has always mattered, and it probably mattered more when there was less
based on the
competition
budget,
with streaming.
$75 million budget, $90 million box office, forget marketing. Like, basically didn't make any money until VHS and everything.
You know
and then
what's
I'm sure it made
funny?
money, but sorry,
When I first saw it, I was like, all right, well, I've seen that then. I didn't feel a need to see it again, but I kept getting drawn back to it.
So VHS probably did really well. It probably made its money back.
I was going to ask. I just think it's really surprising. And this may have been like James Cameron may have learned his lesson with this one. Maybe he was like, I'm taking the reins on the marketing from now on because I feel like every movie he's ever marketed, like the whole world goes to see after that. It is just kind of fascinating to me that studio put this amount of money and time and effort into a film and it didn't do as well as they wanted it to when they probably could have just made the world go see it.
Yeah, but it also probably didn't. I mean, Leviathan didn't make a lot of money. I think history likes to think 2 came out the same year. Leviathan came out earlier in the year, but Leviathan didn't make a lot of money either.
Dude. It's not even the same.
We still had fun talking about it,
classification.
but it came out 6 months before this. It came out 6. So I think a lot of I don't know. Honestly, maybe it was too America versus Russia. Maybe because it came out after the wall came down, we lost that whole Russian subplot. How about that for us doing the fucking context of the year? This came down after the wall. And it's like, what if it's the Russians? And it's like, no, the Russians and us are friends. Who knows?
I want to give
takes
it
place
up
around
for,
Cuba.
I want to give it up for my very young childhood impressions of movies based on the VHS copy at my video store.
Yeah.
This one had a very unsettling cover of, and I didn't know it was her, but it's, the abyss, says the abyss. And then at the bottom, it's somebody in total black water looking up, and they're in a diving suit. And it terrified me. I remember this thing lived in my nightmares way before I saw it.
Yeah, you didn't want to drown in Concord, North Carolina. That's for damn sure.
I want to ask.
I'm just terrified of open water, dude. Why would anybody want to go underwater?
Yeah.
I agree. That's what I'm talking about. There's more water than land, and think about how much fucking land there is.
When Michael Biehn has locked himself in the bay, and
just surface.
He gets in there with him, and he's sneaking up on him, and he turns around and pulls the gun, and the gun clicks and doesn't go off. Is that the best, oh, you motherfucker, look ever captured on film, or is it just me?
Oh, it's so good.
Because he likes, you motherfucker, I'm going to hit you with this pipe.
I saw a musical recently that was, it very blatantly had the orange tip. It was very blatantly don't worry, everybody. And I was like, man, I miss the old days where it's you really had that risk. I'm happy that they had that orange tip, but I was like, man, when that happened and that gun, because you always hear the story about Die Hard where they actually let him drop without telling him and stuff. It's a little fucked up, but you get the reaction.
Yeah. It's like the Shining with the axe through the door.
They did it to... Oh, yeah. It was Alan Rickman and Die Hard, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They said one and two, and they dropped
Didn't they do it to Shelley Duvall as well? With the door?
Shelley Duvall was...
When he put the axe through
her? Did they scare her? They ruined her psyche.
They fucking traumatized her, yeah.
All right. Go see this. Go see The Abyss. I'm very happy I saw it. I can't wait to rewatch it in a year. I need some time, but I can't wait to rewatch it in a year. I'm going to watch the director's
Dave, I think you agree with me, though, right? If you're going to do it, folks, I think you should do a special edition.
It is a better film.
I think it's better.
Yeah.
It's 30
I'll watch
minutes
the
longer.
fucking tidal wave. It was worth it.
But it's better. And if you agree, if you feel anything about what we're saying, and you just that world that he's creating, it's 30 more minutes of living inside of those circumstances.
Yeah.
And
everything's just they added stuff at the right point. Everything is heightened in it. So, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. The Abyss. It's a renter right now, but maybe it'll fucking swing back to some streaming service.
Or it's $1 more to buy, and you'll probably watch it twice.
Yeah, why not? Fucking buy it. Are you guys ready to spin the wheel before we do our What You've Been Watching? Dave, you ready to spin?
I'm fucking ready.
John, what year do you think it's going to be?
1964.
Go back to the 60s. Okay, I'm going to go more current. 2017.
Oh, didn't we already do that?
Oh, fuck. We already did 89.
No, I mean recently. Here we go. Let's give it a shot.
Did we do 17 recently? I can't remember. Oh, John's right. I'm wrong. 1980.
Oh, we're not going far.
87. We did this one recently too. I can't remember what we did, but we did an 87 recently. Okay, we're not going to sit here and Google movies. We're going to do What You've Been Watching, and then we're going to tell you what we're actually picking for our next episode at the end of this episode. But let's see what you've been watching first. Dave, how was your week? What you been watching?
My week was busy as fuck, but I did manage to watch both episodes that they've dropped already of Daredevil, the new series. Big fan.
Rebirth, Reborn.
Yeah, Reborn. Despite the fact that motherfucker blew the surprise at the start of the first episode.
That motherfucker.
Once I got past that, enjoyed the hell out of it. They're dropping F-bombs now. Deadpool opened the floodgates. Guardians of the Galaxy started it. Yeah, they're dropping F-bombs. It's pretty funny.
But it's still going to be on Disney Plus. It's not just going to be on Hulu.
Yeah.
It's going to be right next to Up and Bambi.
Yep. Hey, Bambi's a vicious motherfucker too. But I think
Walt
Hulu,
Disney is rolling over in his grave. I wouldn't know what he's like. I feel like he would fuck a lot now, but I feel like he's rolling over in his grave.
Walt Disney can get fucked. It's just
27 Oscars. What an asshole.
Yeah. I'm having a blast. Let's keep it rolling. But I also on Hulu, they dropped Hellboy: The Crooked Man, which is the latest entry.
A movie?
Yeah, and it's written by the guy who wrote the graphic novel. And despite the fact that it starts off with a fucking funnel web spider, a big ass fucking funnel web spider, I can see what they were trying to do, and he's trying to make it a horror movie, and in parts they kind of succeeded, but none of it gels. It's an interesting watch.
Funnel Worth? What did you say?
Web.
Funnel.
The really
funnel
fucking
web.
deadly one from Australia. Look
Fuck
it up.
those-
He's a vicious little
Wait, is
fucker.
it little?
And I just like I wanted to like it. The guy doing Hellboy, I could see more of him because it's a younger Hellboy. It's set like 40 years before like when Ron Perlman was doing it.
Oh yeah, now you're ringing some bells.
Yeah. And he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad, but I don't know. It was just too fragmented. I think that was sort of on purpose, but it didn't work.
Oh my God, this funnel web spider is a fucking monster.
Terrifying.
Oh
Yes, they
my
are.
God, look at the fucking ass on this thing.
Add
Holy
it to the
shit.
Fuck
list.
its ass. Watch out for its teeth, man. That thing bites you. You got like 20 minutes to live.
No wonder
Oh.
like 20 million people live in Australia. Like, how many of you die before you make it to fucking 16?
That's why Britain used to send their prisoners.
I don't know,
Here's a
but
picture of one of them
don't look
getting
out of
into
the
somebody's
house.
boot right here. How many people put their boots on and then didn't make it to the next day?
Yeah, right.
John? Oh my God, look at
No,
this
I'm telling you,
piece
when
of shit.
Unless you've got like thongs or flip flops, as they say over here.
Thongs.
If you've got boots or shoes and you've been stupid enough to leave them outside, you pick them up, turn them upside down, and bang the fuck out of them to make sure see what falls out before you put your foot in it.
Yeah, bang that
That's
spider.
the rule
All right,
in
John.
Australia. Anyway, John, what were we watching?
John,
I have been watching.
Jeff's still looking at this fucking
I
spider.
watched-
fucking
Sure,
hell.
yeah. I'm behind on the pit. I need to catch up. I'm just
You
one
should,
episode
but we got
behind.
another month. There's so many episodes. I got a month.
Caught up on White Lotus. Having fun. It is slow. I am hoping that something happens that'll really turn the notch because I'm not sure if new circumstances have really been introduced in 2 or 3 episodes at this point.
No,
But
none.
I'm still really, really enjoying it. I mean, I love this show. I watched Heretic, which was awesome. It's absolutely worth watching.
It's on my list
can't
for the
believe
next
they
couple of
got-
days.
I cannot believe they got Hugh Grant to do a horror movie. And as soon as you watch it, you're just going to be like,
I feel like Hugh
once
Grant.
again, he is one of the absolute best, dude. He's so fucking good. And
Really?
the premise of this movie is in the trailer to a certain extent, but like these 2
Yeah.
missionary young women who are Mormons who are on their mission come to his house because it said that he wanted them to come by because he was interested in learning more, and he basically ends up having this giant philosophical manipulation death game about how religion isn't real and how the concept of religion is actually something other than you think it is, and it doesn't exist in any of these scriptures or books that we've been looking at. And it's
Right.
so dialogue driven. It's one of the tensest horror movies I've ever seen that relies almost exclusively on dialogue to do it.
Hmm.
So that's why he's in it. That's why you needed an A-list actor.
I feel like
It
he's
wouldn't
in
just
his
sound
fun
like
phase
they're
now, though.
quipping off.
Like the second we hit,
It's great.
The
Watch
second
it.
he was in Dungeons and Dragons, I'm like, he's having fun now.
He is having fun.
Yeah.
This is very mature though. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel like he's just having fun. Like there
He's
are some
sinister as
real.
fuck.
He's using his skills, dude. It's not
Good.
even that, dude. No, it's not that. It's just really good acting. I
Yeah.
don't know how to say it because like he's not playing a super over the top threatening murderer. It's not like that. It comes
Right.
off as something totally different. Anyway, whatever. Watch it. The last thing I want to call out because I'm only 2 episodes in, and I am all in, is this new series that might not be new. They may have just bought it, but it's on Max right now. It's called Eastern Gate, and it's about
Oh,
a
yeah.
female Polish spy that is set in Poland in 2021, and it's about her getting caught up. She's a spy, of course. She's working for her intelligence agency out of Poland, but it's about them Poland trying to protect that gap between Russia and Poland, which is kind of like the gateway into Europe out of Belarus into
Right.
Europe.
Hmm.
And it's very political. It's like a less technically expressive Chernobyl. So it still feels
Ooh.
like you're in that side. You're in Eastern Soviet world. You're in that side of Europe. So it has that kind of aesthetic. It's filmed in a very slow but grounded and compelling and intellectual way. It's kind of like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy meets Chernobyl, if I had to give you like a comp.
It's
I
a
definitely
2025
recommend, though.
series, so it looks pretty new.
Well, good for them for having the balls to make it in Poland, dealing with these issues, shamelessly political about what's happening in Europe and what's happening in the rest of the world. I just want to make a call out. This is the second time this has happened, and fuck you all streamers for making this the default. I started watching it, and I was all in from the start, but I was like, what's going on with the acting? Like, it felt a little stilted, a little off. And I realized it's because it defaulted to the fucking English dubbing. I had to go in and change it to fucking Polish with English subtitles. And immediately it was a 10. You know, it was like, oh, there it is. Like, no, I already was enjoying it. I was like, oh, now it's fucking amazing.
I did something recently that did the same thing. And I need it. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it. I can't remember what we were talking about, but the same fucking thing happened.
Well, Senna had it where it automatically switched. And then maybe it was Squid Game or... Well, one of those that I had to every single episode.
Game definitely switched.
Every episode. I
know you guys.
It looks like it's filmed on a fucking cheap ass Handycam.
Oh, that's too bad. I know you guys did not watch my last recommendation, which was Tokyo Vice, but if anybody who's interested in politics right now and wants a good outlet, this is I love Slow Horses. I think spy series are in right now. This is a serious spy story. If you want drama, straight drama, this is it.
Did I mention Zero Day?
No.
Okay, it's on Netflix. De Niro's in it. And
that's the new series. Yeah. Is it any good? Because the reviews are not they're not great.
Okay, because I fucking loved it. Because he's an ex-president who was loved, and he becomes the leader of the task force to talk about this massive to sort out this massive cyber attack that killed thousands of people in the US. And
oh wow.
But they also
asked to step in when one president fucks everything up. Man, I don't understand that at all.
They also hint that he may or may not be losing his faculties. Either that or someone's fucking with him. Don't know. They're bouncing that around. It's like, is he not all there now, or is someone actually fucking with him?
Wow. Okay, so that's good. That's a really good premise.
Yeah, it's a really good premise.
Jesse Plemons, Lizzie Kaplan, Robert De Niro.
Yeah,
good cast.
Yeah. It's well worth a watch. I've only seen 3 episodes, I think, but I'm fucking hooked.
I have basically only watched 6 hours of Drive to Survive because I fucking love Drive to Survive. It's the best editing you'll see on TV. Fuck everybody. It is the best editing. It's so good.
Jeff, I know one of the editors who works on that show.
I heard.
Pretty
the first episode's fine, but then when you get when you actually get some racing and stuff, and they edit it a little differently than they did in the past, but it's like,
let me ask you this, because I'm someone who good. I literally do not watch. I don't follow the season of Formula One because I just don't care that much, and I love the show.
Oh, so you're on the West Coast. You're on the West Coast because I'm waking up here, and at 9 a.m. on Sunday there's a race. It's awesome. So if I wake up at 9:15, I'm like, oh, the race just started. I can put it on.
But I don't want to get up at 6.
When you wake up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
That shit.
But I was just going to ask, do you still really love the show, even though you've already know the outcome of the races? Because you do follow the season.
It does change it. Now, I mean, in the first couple seasons that I watched before I had seen the show, I was like, holy shit, this is everything. They do a really good job of honoring it. And in fact, I almost wonder if they do too good a job of now playing to people, assuming people have already seen it. You know, part of me, I wonder if they didn't do that. Like the second episode is basically like the two drivers who would become the year-long rival. And to me, that didn't really happen until later. Whereas in the older episodes, I feel like they really were able to separate the end of I feel like they got to the end of the season very early. Yeah, they go back and forth a lot.
I think they know that they've gotten a whole generation of people interested in that sport.
But if I'm them, I should also play attention now. But I should also play with house money though, and sit there and be like, they'll watch. We don't have to do Max and Lando in the second episode, which they did.
I agree.
That was the majority of the season was the two of them. The first season they didn't even have Ferrari or Mercedes, who were the two biggest teams, and it was fantastic. So I don't think we need to get to the ending too soon. And they did. The second episode was called Frenemies, and it was the two people competing for the driver's title. I don't think we need that until episode 6 or 7.
I agree, dude. Whoa, the funnel web spider. It just came through.
Jesus. All right, let's go ahead and look up some movies. We're going to listen to some Dasein. Listen to some Dasein, people. We did Beverly Hills Cop 2, and we did, I don't even remember the other movie we did. Oh, we did The Last Emperor, which is kind of a 1988 movie, but we did that. Those are the last two 1987 movies we did, but we're going to do something different this time. So listen to some fucking Dasein, and we're going to come back in 30 seconds tops and tell you what we're doing next week. Can't wait to see you then, film fans. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
You don't want to
And
do
we're
Little Shop of Horrors? Say it again.
Jeff, stop
keep that in.
suggesting
That's
joke films.
You don't want to do those.
Come on, Rick Moranis sang in a movie with Steve Martin, who also sang, and then Ellen
One
Green,
day we
who was-
will do Little Shop of Horrors, but this week we're not
It's
going to be
this
doing
week.
that. Jeff,
No,
what are we doing?
we actually talked about this last time, and we ended up choosing The Last Emperor, which is a funny 1988 movie that kind of came out in 1987. But this time, we're doing it. We've done so many Spielbergs, and I'm so happy we're doing another one. I cannot wait to be introduced to the young Christian Bale, Empire of the Sun. We're doing it. 1987 war movie. It is a renter. Go ahead and rent it, people.
And I think it's a first watch for all three of us,
Dave?
Yeah.
That
which is
true.
always rare.
Okay.
So that'll be a
Next time.
fun thing.
Can't wait. Thank you so much for a great conversation about The Abyss. I can't wait to watch it again in a year and say you guys were right.
Special edition.
The Abyss or this episode?
All right.
You've closed your buzzer, haven't you?
See you next time, film fans.
Damn, I thought I got away with it.